All right. Well, you have just heard a tune from my boy, BruceBeats, who is going to be joining us this week on the show. And I am just super excited to bring somebody on that specializes in so many different aspects of what this music culture is all about. And I want to highlight this gentleman for not only being amazing at being an instrumentalist, he specializes in the trumpet, but also for a beat maker. His trap beats and the way that he actually manipulates those 808s on a lot of his beats is insane. He's also a marketer, somebody who has gotten in to what I'm into, quite frankly, which is the ClickFunnels community and the whole funnel hacking shindig that goes down within that group. He has his own books and his own Instagram account that specializes in bringing production tips and creativity hacks to the forefront. So there is so much that my man BruceBeats specializes in and that I am super excited to highlight and discuss with him and bring to y'all on today's show. The One Funnel Away Challenge is something that I would like to welcome everybody and invite you to join and get your marketing mindset in order. I'll tell you what, I love hanging out with musicians. I love interviewing them for the show, but I also got to tell you, some of the coolest people to hang out with in my book is the marketers. The marketers are the folks that I've been kicking it with in events like the mastermind that I recently attended down in San Diego. And dude, as much as I love chilling in the studio doing music, it was not bad to be on a yacht looking over the bay of San Diego. The One Funnel Away Challenge is where it all began for me and where it should all begin with you. Do you need a music manager? I don't know. Maybe you just need some basic marketing knowledge so that you can get sales funnels in place so that you can build your mailing list, start building your business and get your music out there to a list of leads and a list of buyers. The One Funnel Away Challenge can help you figure out how you can do that. Not only give you the right mindset, but also give you the tools and the insights to put together offers that will crush the competition and drive your business forward. I put together a special offer for everybody out there. Join the next One Funnel Away Challenge session. Go to FERMImusic.com/onefunnel. Okay. One funnel. ONEFUNNEL. FERMImusic.com/onefunnel and sign up for the next One Funnel Away Challenge. I'll tell you, it has got a special price tag on there that is $100 flat, but the value that you will get out of it is so much more than $100. I recently went through it. It was a few months back now, but the thing blew my lid. The top of my head, the top of my dome was literally flapping up a little bit. Okay. So check it out. FERMImusic.com/onefunnel. And with that being said, it is time to introduce y'all to one of the hottest guests that I've had on the show, my man, BruceBeats. Let's go.
All right. I've got my man BruceBeats here in the studio with me on the phone, actually, ready to drop some jewels on beat making, music production, and creativity. Welcome to the show.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Benjamin. I appreciate that, man.
It's been great to chat with you already. I told you I woke up, I saw this Will Smith quote about laying a brick, just one brick per day, and you are going to build something great. Don't worry about the overall picture. Just put your head down and get to work doing that next task in an efficient and quality way. And you knew exactly what I was talking about.
Yeah, man, definitely. I heard that quote when I was a teenager, and I'm actually, I suffer from a disease called workaholic. And so sometimes I actually like to lay one or two, maybe sometimes 3 bricks a day. As long as we're laying one as perfectly as we can, we're going to have a house or at least a dope ass wall, like you said, exactly. At some point in time.
Yeah, I don't suffer necessarily from workaholic. I've been accused, but I definitely have shiny syndromitis. Sometimes I just start to see that next thing. As I see that next thing.
What you're talking about.
They're all valid. There's a lot of great content out there around us, a lot of great trainings, a lot of great directions we could go, right? As artists, as business people, and just as people in general. But putting your head down, I really love that aspect of it. And yeah, I was joking with you that, Will Smith said he didn't know how to build a house. He just knew that you have to put that next brick in correctly. Hey, if you don't get a house, at least you'll get a really solid wall, is what I was joking about before.
Exactly.
So you're coming to us today from Wisconsin, and that blew my mind. I didn't realize you were there. Can you tell our listeners, how you got there and really how that has started to shape your vision of your future as a musician?
Definitely. I mean, in a nutshell, a little bit of my backstory. I've been a musician for over 20 years. And for the majority of that time, it's actually more in the live aspect, playing trumpet, keys, guitar, and things like that. And I would teach and I would play live gigs with corporate bands and just off the side gigs. And that's pretty much how I made my living. And I would produce on the side. I didn't really know anything though. I didn't know anything about EQing, mixing, mastering, compression, like nothing at all. I would just kind of do it and I'd make little songs. I came out with a rap album. I actually had somebody else master it and, do all that stuff. But when I came up here, it's because my fiance had to finish out her schooling to become a doctor up here. And she's now a doctor. I'm super proud of her. But, we came up here for her to finish her schooling and we had been together 4 years at the time. And it wasn't a question for me. I mean, it was a little bit of a question, but I ultimately deep down, I knew I wanted to come up here and be with her. And at the time I was also thinking, man, how am I going to support myself financially for the rest of my life? And when I have a family, I don't want to be gone 5 nights out the week, playing, coming home at 3 a.m, maybe even 12 at night, not seeing the kids, not spending any time with them, whatever. And so I was trying to think about something that I can do that would be a little bit more beneficial and constructive to what I'm really good at, because I've always felt that writing was actually my best strength when it comes to music. And so in a nutshell, I went to producing for TV film. I've been doing it for about 2 years now, and it's actually opened the doors to so many of the other things that I'm doing right now. I'm selling beats. I'm working with 2 music libraries. I have several credits, Discovery Channel, Netflix, things like that. But, I'm really passionate about helping other people succeed and exactly what I'm doing, because I've struggled so much with day jobs that I hate going to, waking up in the morning and literally screaming on the way to the job and coming home and working for the next 8 hours, just trying to make it happen for myself. And I still actually have a day job and I still come home and do what I need to do, but I'm much further along the path. And I also have a much clearer vision of exactly where I'm going with my career, with my music production career. And this wouldn't have happened if I hadn't left Miami and done something completely different. So this is a decision that literally was very scary, but it has impacted my life in the most positive way. And I wouldn't trade it for the world.
I love that there. And you had a lot of things that I'd love to unpack in it, because obviously you are driven. We can hear in your voice, you've got the vision. But what was it that really helped you clarify? I feel like that's where a lot of people get hung up, right? They try to clarify and it's just not happening. They don't see maybe the benefits, the end product of what small choices they can make right now to get to whatever vision that they really can't see. Part of it to me seemed like you were looking in the future about just a family, what you wanted to kind of construct for yourself in the life that you want in the future.
Sure. I mean, it's very simple, actually, but it's not easy. It's simple and easy are 2 completely different things, but it's really those questions that everybody tells you. It's nothing different. It's, what do I want my life to look like in 5 years? And just asking yourself that on a consistent basis and getting as specific as possible, getting super clear on exactly what you want and not what what you think your mom wants for you or what you think your friends will say. And I want this because I want to impress X person. It's just like, what do I want for myself? Okay. That's the first piece. What do I want for myself? And the second piece, and this is where it really kicks in, is why do I want that thing? Why am I chasing this? Why is this my dream? And that part is the most powerful part. And this doesn't happen in one time of asking yourself. Like, you have to ask yourself repeatedly, and it doesn't have to be every single day, but like once a week, once every 2 weeks, really get a session where you're just sitting with yourself. You're not worried about music or art or podcasts or content or Instagram or none of that, like none of the external things. Just like, hey, I'm sitting with myself and I'm figuring out, why am I doing this thing? And for me, I said, I want music. Okay, why do I want music? Oh, because I love it. Well, why do I love it? And you keep going and going, asking yourself why. And at least for me and for other people that I've talked to about this, it always stems down to a selfless desire. And for me, it's because I want the best for my family. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I want the best for my family and I want to be able to provide for my family. So when I wake up in the morning, I remind myself, yeah, I'm doing this for me, but a deeper part and a more real part is I'm doing this for them. and I will not fail because I cannot fail them. So that really drives me, and it just gets me clearer and clearer on, okay, this is what I need to be doing. And I just feel it. It feels right to do these things. And sometimes you got to do a lot of things, and then you start narrowing your focus because you try this out. You try TV film, you try selling beats, you try making sample packs. I mean, these are just my experiences. And try
a lot of different things.
You try teaching, you try playing live, and then you figure out what you're good at and you figure out what you're really passionate about. And it just kind of narrows it down automatically without you even trying. And once you keep asking yourself these questions, it just really gets super clear. And that motive and that fire just doesn't extinguish.
Absolutely. I think that is clutch right there. Sit down. Why am I doing this thing? What do I want for myself in the next 5 years? And to do it consistently, right? Because I think it's foolish to say, hey, it's going to stay the same for this whole 5 years. It might stay similar. It might totally change as you're trying these different things, like you mentioned, sample packs, mixing, mastering for others, writing for others, selling beats, whatever, method you're trying to get out there and fulfill your music passion and make a living on this. It might slightly morph as you're experimenting. Experimentation is great, as we know. But I'm also with you, and I want to underscore for our listeners the importance of really drilling down and finding the why. Right? There's the great book by Simon Sinek that is all about finding your why. I recommend it to folks. It just kind of gives you insights into why people and companies have been successful and how it started with a greater purpose. So I heard you, Bruce, talking about a greater purpose, about family. You and me talked a little bit before the interview about music. Sometimes, you're hunkered down, you're all alone, you got headphones on, it can be selfish and isolating in some ways, some views, I should say, from some people. But right there, you brought up a whole different perspective that I hadn't even thought of, right? Music obviously is inspirational to others. It can save lives. But your why, it sounds like, is really driven by something much larger. And that is providing for the family and doing things, with their interests in mind. So really awesome to drill down there. Definitely, man. When you have been doing these different experiments, I would say, you've taught, you've made sample packs, you're selling beats through your website. What has been rewarding and what has been maybe rewarding in a different kind of way by not working out so well, but definitely taught you something?
So for me, really trying all these different things in the production realm, they've all been rewarding on different levels, some more emotionally, some more financially. But for me, finding the perfect blend between what you're really passionate about and how you can use that to really gain trust in your customers, that is the best thing that you can do, in my opinion. So, I mean, for me, the number one thing is making great music for great artists. I love working with artists. Specifically, I love working with artists who have integrity, who make not only fun music, but make music that is thought-provoking, make music that has a unique subject matter, make music that has a subject matter that'll move the culture forward. That is my huge thing, right?
Seems like you have almost a mission statement there, right? Make great music for great artists. I love how succinct that is.
Make great music for, and I have a super strong work ethic, and the people that I really work well with kind of match that vibe. So for example, with my library, Get It Done Records, the CEO, his name is Trevor Llewellyn. He's awesome. He's dope. He's like one of the people I really, really look up to. And his work ethic is amazing. There's so many times where I get a message from him at 3 a.m. and I'm like, dude, I was sleeping. You expected me to, answer. But the way we work together is that he'll ask something of me and I'll get it to him that same day. And that's the kind of way I like to work with my artists. And so that's the number one thing I do. And, I do sell sample packs. I have a bunch of beat packs that I like to give for a cheaper price because it's a lot of the times, a lot of people are selling tracks for, track outs, stems and everything for $97, $100, $150. And if an artist plans on making an album, that's $1,000 right there just on the album, just on the music, let alone mix, master, promo, cover art, all of that stuff. And so I really just like to, I actually have a pack right now where I'm giving you 20 beats with a bunch of free bonuses like track outs, everything, and a chance to be part of our writers team at Get It Done Records to place for TV film for $27. Like
dope.
I don't want to take your money. I want to work with you and I want to build a great working relationship.
We'll go to find that deal if they want to tune into it.
Yeah. So you can actually check me out on brucebeats.com. I post a lot of my best content at Bruce Beats All Day on Instagram and have a really awesome Facebook group, Bruce Beats Mastermind. If you look that up, you can join the group. You can message me on my personal Facebook, Bruce McKinnon Jr. I'm super open to talking all the time with artists and other producers. I mean, this is just really what I'm 100% passionate about. So,
dope. So you talked about Get It Done Records, and that sounds like a project that you're working on with Trevor, and he is the one who's lining you up with some of your licensing opportunities for shows, for movies. Talk to us about a song that I've heard got some placement, and it's called GOAT.
Yeah, so GOAT I actually made for a TV series that we're working on, where we're supplying the music for, and it's GOAT, Greatest of All Time. That's what I named it. I think the library actually has a different name for it. But basically, we were making these songs and we had a month. Our writers team had a month to create hella music. And so I was just going super hard and making as much music as possible. It was like 80s, 90s hip hop because it's a throwback New York, Brooklyn type show. So I was making a bunch of stuff. I was going to sleep on the day before the last day, the day before the deadline date where all music needs to be submitted. And I was actually sleeping on an air mattress at the time because it was so hot in our room and we didn't have, AC throughout the house. We just had AC in the living room. So it didn't reach our bedroom. It was so hot. We put an air mattress up and we were sleeping on the air mattress all summer, me and my fiance. And literally I'm just laying there in bed last day and I couldn't get out of my head that I wanted to make like a Jay-Z Show Me What You Got type instrumental. And I'm laying there kind of dozing off to sleep and I hear and I'm like, man, that's super hot. And it just kept going in my head. And I'm thinking, man, I need to remember this. I need to remember this in the morning. But all I could think of was, I'm not going to remember this in the morning because I never do. And so I got right out of bed as slowly as possible because I hate being disturbed in my sleep. So I don't want to disturb her because she falls asleep rather quickly. I got up, I went right into the studio, closed the door really quietly, and started playing on piano, working out the chords, working out the voicings, and with my voice recorder on, of course. And woke up the next morning, went to work, and the whole time I'm thinking, man, I can't wait to get home and make this track. I'm like, oh, I can have a trumpet solo at this part. Oh, this part can have this, whatever. And I get home, and I immediately got right to it, started recording the horns, started making the beat, kind of listening to the references and pulling my influences and made the whole thing, submitted it. Trevor's like, yo, this is dope. Send me the stems. Boom. And that's literally how that track came about. When you get those inspirations, when you're in that like half asleep theta state, those are the best. And don't let those go by. Get up and actually, you know what's really cool? I forget his name, Martin something, but he was like the pop boy band lead writer in the 90s and early 2000s. Like all NSYNC's hits, all Britney Spears hits, all Backstreet Boys hits is written by this guy. Okay. And Hit Me Baby One More Time. That actually came to him when he was falling asleep. And I watched it in an interview and he got up and recorded it. And it was just kind of like the dun, 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 one more time. And it wasn't full. And then, he went back to sleep and then more of it came to him and he started recording a little bit more of it and until he finally got like all those words for that little hook. Imagine if he wouldn't have gotten up and recorded that. That probably just wouldn't have went out to the ether and maybe somebody else would have gotten the idea, but he never would have made that smash. So It's definitely just important to listen to your intuition, especially in moments like these.
Yeah. It's been said that the graveyard is the richest place in the world, right? Because so many ideas go there to die. And that is usually talking about more business ideas, things that you were afraid to do. But I think it totally applies to this as well, right? You could have just gone to sleep, tried to, wrestle with the heat and finally fall asleep. And that idea would have evaporated, like you said, into the ether. You do not want to lose these brilliant ideas. I love that you just got up. You had the voice memo. You were doing some humming. You were making sure you captured it all before you went to sleep. And I was wondering because it does sound like there's some live horns on there.
Definitely.
I was like, dude, did this guy seriously wake up in the middle of the night and start blasting live horns? I bet his girl.
I would have gotten evicted.
That's cool though, man. Let's get into the song. I want to feature it right here on the show. Check it out. Let's go. All right, that was dope right there. Definitely feel that Jay-Z, New York, retro vibe right there. Talk to us a little bit about your whole songwriting process in general. Maybe for this song, maybe for any of them. Do you always kind of hum it out? I've heard artists like Timbaland do stuff like that every time. Do you start with drums? Do you start with horns? Or what is your approach? Is there an approach?
So being that I grew up in America and I grew up through music school. I also played in touring bands. So like I kind of have the half school, half street music making stuff processes, right? Yeah. But growing up in America, in North America, I should say, the main focus is harmony and notes before rhythm. And in Latin America and in more African music, it's rhythm first. So for me, I like to create the chord progression or the melody or the sample first, and then I'll make the beat around that. That's usually 99% of the time how I do it, unless it all just comes at the same time, kind of like that one did. But that, doesn't happen all the time. It was just those magical moments. Yeah, I hum things out a lot. I'll just kind of be singing something stupid and just like keeps going in my head. And I'm like, hey, that's actually, that could kind of work for something. And I'll just record it. And then when I come in to create, I just browse. The first thing I do usually is browse through my voice memos and see if any one of those little melodies or something I'm vibing with. And then I'll start creating that. And sometimes I think like, oh, this is a cool flute, at the moment while I'm doing it. But sometimes I'm not sure what it is. So I'll take that melody and I'll run it through different patches and see like, oh, this synth works for this. Or yeah, this is definitely a piano line, things like that. But I definitely start with, and this is just me personally, there's no right or wrong way to do this. It's just whatever works for you. But I always start with the sample or the harmony first. And then I make the beat around that. When I've tried to start it the other way, when I've made the beat first and then I put the harmony, I actually start changing the beat because I feel like I want the beat to wrap around the melody. And that's just the way that my mind works. I know a lot of cats who do it a different way. Sometimes, and this is not very often, but sometimes I'll go into the session without an idea in the world, without an idea of what I want to sample, without a melody. But the only reason I don't like doing that is because I work a lot of the times on deadlines. And I like to go into my session with a clear vision of what I'm making. That way I can do it and my session kind of flows better. And I'm not, making 3 ideas and then being like, oh, these are all whack.
I was going to actually ask you that. I imagine having deadlines definitely forces you to create in a different way rather than sort of in a vacuum where a lot of people don't have deadlines. They're just trying to make something that sounds good.
Definitely. One thing that really kind of whipped me into shape was this was around the time when I first got started making TV film, and I got music for TV film, and I got a custom gig where I had to make a song for a Pampers commercial. Like they sent you the commercial and you had to make the music for it. And this is the first time I ever scored to film. So it was really fun, but I didn't even know how to mix and master at the time or anything like that. And I got the gig at 9 a.m. in my email, and they said, you have to submit this by 9 a.m. the next morning. And I was like, what? There's no way I can do that. But it was a $2,000 payout and you got paid every time the commercial aired. So I'm like, I definitely have to go for this. Like, it's no question in my mind. And so I called off work and I went for it. I spent so many hours on YouTube looking for stuff. I was coming up with bass lines, pianos, guitars, whatever I could. I ended up finally figuring it out in 16 hours. I sent the whole track off to the film and everything. And I was like top 3 ready to be chosen, but I didn't get the gig. And I was like, damn it. But you know what? I learned so much on how to create music in a short amount of time. And that to me was worth so much because at that time, it took me like 5 days to make a beat or to make a track, whatever it was. And Now I'm to the point where I literally come home and I can make it in one night and it's mixed and mastered done, and that's kind of how I like to do. I pressure myself to just make it all at once because I don't like sitting on things for days. I want to get it out. I want to build my catalog. And I just kind of trained myself to create in that way and not to sacrifice the quality. That's what I'm so huge on. How can I be more efficient without dumbing things down? So I actually wrote a whole book on that I'm actually giving away for free. It's called My Free Beat a Day Cookbook. So y'all can grab that if you want. It's BruceBeats.com.
Awesome. Go check that book out. I'm definitely going to check it out. I had no idea you had it out, Bruce, but what you just spoke to touched me a lot. I think that's where I was going with the question as well. It's like for my listeners who don't have a deadline, just put a deadline. Make
yourself one and hold yourself accountable to it.
If there is an artist that you're producing for and you guys don't have a deadline, if you are just doing an instrumental album, if you are just trying to, upload onto BeatStar, whatever it is that you're trying to do, make yourself a deadline. Yeah, it's a bit artificial, but you're going to force yourself to success, force yourself forward. So I know a lot of like YouTubers that I've talked to, they say we're releasing every single week on Friday, no matter what. So every Friday, you're going to have a video ready if you really hold yourself to that and hold yourself accountable and have that discipline. So I love it here where you didn't even know how you were going to finish this beat so fast, but you did everything you could. If you hadn't had this Pampers deadline.
If I didn't have the deadline, I wouldn't. Yeah, it would have taken me 5 days.
Yeah. So you forced yourself forward and up, man. And I love that you looked at it too as a teaching moment, right? So, hey, you didn't actually land this particular role, this particular job, but you got in the top 3 and you recognize how much that taught you.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
For people out there who are interested in doing the licensing stuff, who are interested in all that, because I know a lot of folks just pretty much release music on Spotify and then that's it. That's the vision of what they think successful musicians do. What do you recommend for them?
So for people who are looking to get into TV film, there's a certain way that you need to make music for that. Just kind of in a nutshell, it needs to have a button ending, which means no fade outs, kind of has to end on the root chord as a hit so that the music supervisors can actually edit whatever they want. You need to send them different bounces like of just the drums, drum and bass, just the melodies or no melodies, maybe without the drums. There's a bunch of different edits that you need to bounce for them. And you need to actually cut your tracks into 60-minute versions, 30-second versions, 15 seconds, and just like a little sting for them to use at their will. A lot that goes into it. Every 4 bars, you kind of have to bring in a new element, things like that, so that they can actually do what they will with your track and they kind of cut it and move it around. A lot of the stuff that you hear on TV, the person actually didn't make it like that. If you just hear drums, it's probably a full track that the music editor just used like just the drum mix for,
Nice.
So it sounds like a lot, but it's really not. It's super easy. You make the track the same way you make any track and you just bounce a bunch of different versions. But if you really want to get into music, TV, film licensing, it's super lucrative to put the right work into it. And we're actually looking for people on our writers team, Get It Done Records. You can just hit me up on IG, send me a DM at BruceBeats all day, and we can definitely chat it up. We're looking for vocalists and music producers. We're actually doing something different than any other music library is doing. We have a whole team of writers and producers, and we all collaborate with each other to make the best music possible. A lot of libraries, and this is nothing wrong with that. I actually work with other music libraries where it's like this too, where it's just one producer, and you have to submit your track. You have to make it, you have to mix it, you have to master it. If you're a vocalist, you're singing on top of the track that you made, and boom, you send it off, and maybe they'll ask for some revisions. You send it to them with all the bounces, alt mixes, and things like that. But whereas with our team, like one of the things that I love about it is that as a vocalist, you get paid more for vocal placements, and they tend to get used longer, vocal songs. So if you surpass a minute, that's called super usage. And your royalties literally go from 2 to 3 digits like that. So awesome. The really cool thing about vocals is they have a huge leg up. Like Trevor will send me a track. He'll be like, hey, I need 3 tracks done this weekend. I'm like, okay, super dope. So I send them all to him. I don't even have to mix it. I don't have to master it. I don't have to make the beat. He sends me the track. I do my thing over it, send it to him. The team takes care of it all. And sometimes I'll do it myself because I want to. But the team will take care of it all. It gets uploaded into library. It gets placed. And I get paid every single time. There's no other library that's doing that. We offer so much. So, I mean, if that's something you're interested in, you can like hit me up directly and let's chat it up. But if you don't want to work with us and you want to do your own thing, that's totally cool too. You can actually look up different music libraries and just kind of browse through their tracks, see what kind of value you can give to them. For example, if they have 900 hip hop producers, but only 20 EDM producers, you may actually want to go in as an EDM producer because their hip hop stuff is already taken care of. So kind of see what hole you can fill for them and pitch them 10 songs and say, hey, hi, my name is Fulanito. I know you're busy. I know you have a lot on your plate. I just wanted to give you these 10 songs exclusively for you. I made them. They're ready to go, ready to be licensed right now. I appreciate your time and listening. I look forward to hearing from you and building a long-term relationship with you. Boom. That's the email right there. If you send 1 or 2 tracks, nobody's going to listen to you. But if you come to them with a whole album, and yes, it's a more work up front, but believe me, it's so much more lucrative. And it's so much more, you create an impression. They're like, wow, this guy actually made 10 songs for my library. He really wants to work with us. So not only will they accept those 10 tracks, but hey, guess what? The next time that they get a custom gig that'll pay you $2,000, they'll be like, hey, Jeff, I got this gig for you. You want to do it? And you're like, hell yeah, I want to do it. Boom. Yeah, man. You're part of their writers team.
That's definitely leading with that value first mentality, right? So you come with the full album, you show them what you can do for them, not ask them what they can do for you. And it reminds me of what you were also talking about just in terms of being a producer for other artists before we got recording. That is with Trey Marquise and just actually giving him a beat that turned into a great track that you are super proud of.
I was just on IG and I would kind of see this guy with similar videos all the time. And every time I really love R&B vocalists and R&B songs. Like that's just, I love it. There's no other singers that I love more than them. And he would always come up on my feed and I find myself liking and commenting on all his stuff. And I'm like, man, this dude is super dope. And I was like, hey, Trey, here's a beat, man. Actually, I sent him a bunch of beats. I sent him like 10 beats or something like that. I was like, here, man, I think you would love these. I want to work with you. I wasn't trying to make money off him. I just really wanted to work with him. He was awesome. And he sent me something the next day off one of my beats that I had made, actually thinking about my girl and how pretty she is. And he sent it to me and I'm like, man, this is amazing. And that song is actually up on Spotify right now. It's gotten super huge. You know, we've gotten awesome feedback from his fans, from my fans. And it's just a really great song. It's called Natural. Y'all can check it out.
Go check it out on Spotify. I'm going to play a little bit of the instrumental beat made by Bruce right now, but definitely go ahead and follow him on Spotify as well to check out the version by Trey Marquise. Let's check it out. All right, we just listened to the track, another dope one here from Bruce. And I've got to tell you, man, you are adding a lot of value to my show, a lot of value to me. And I hope that my listeners are receiving this gift of value as well through the speakers, through their ear pods.
Cool, man. Cool. I'm glad to be here.
It doesn't seem to stop with you, man. So we haven't even touched on, we haven't even touched on your Instagram presence and what you were starting to do in the last couple of weeks, maybe last month, of dropping some tutorial type content to help music producers out there professionalize their sound and stay motivated. Talk to us about what you're doing on there.
Yeah, so it was very late in the game with Instagram. I've never been a huge social media junkie, so I actually just got an Instagram not even a year ago. Like 10 months or something like that, where I first got my Instagram. And I actually just got it for the purpose of connecting with other artists and connecting with other producers. So I just wanted to put out some of my knowledge of what I know that would help other people. So I've made some tutorials of things like how to get bigger kicks, how to get more of a sample vibe, how to make your snare sound thicker and fatter, and just things like that. I've also been posting songwriting hacks. And this is something that I'm going to be doing for a very long time. I'm going to be doing at least 3 songwriting hacks a week in just different ways you can go about writing your music that you may not have thought about before. And just to give one as an example right now, and these are the kinds of hacks I give on my IG page at BruceBeats all day. But let's say you want to have funkier chord progressions, hipper, cooler chord progressions. One of the things you can do actually is take a very simple chord progression like 1, 5, 6, 4, or like C, G, A minor, F, something like that, like super standard. All the hits have that progression, but there's nothing fancy about it. There's also nothing wrong with it. But let's say you just wanted something a little hipper. Take those 4 chords actually and write a cool melody to it, right? Something that you're vibing with, something that's catchy. Once you have a really cool melody, strip that progression. No longer work with that progression. Now you just have a cool melody, and use the notes in that melody to make a different progression on the bottom. One that's a little bit more to your liking, maybe less standard, and has more of an attitude of its own to it. And what's going to happen there is you're going to have a melody and a chord progression that just fit like glue, and they fit really, really well together. And it's going to be something that's really unique that not anybody else has. So that's, one trick that you can employ to get really cool chord progressions. That's kind of the type of content that I post for my songwriters, for my rappers, for my singers who like to make their own music and things of that nature.
Yeah, I love it, man. There's a lot of interesting titles to these hacks that you've got coming out. We won't give them all away. We won't ruin the surprise. Head over to his Instagram. It's at BruceBeats all day. And I have not even watched this one yet myself, but as soon as we hang up, I've got to find out what creative vomit means, what you are talking about there, bro. Sure. Yeah, that's definitely one to delve into. I won't give it away. You're going to have to go check that one out. For sure. One thing I would ask you though, and I've spoke with some people who kind of struggle with this, but you are creating content at a pretty fast volume. I'm sure, again, some of that has to do with deadlines and so forth, but you've also been doing it for so long, and you are really in tune with yourself and listening to your intuition based on everything I've heard so far. But do you ever get a writer's block type of a thing? And if you do start to feel that, what do you do?
Yes, I do. Anybody who tells you that they don't get it, or if they have a formula that it will never happen again, is a fool, and they're just trying to take your money. Do not listen to them, because nobody is void of writer's block. There are ways, there are strategies, like in my Beat It Day cookbook, I talk extensively about it, of how to avoid it and ways to get around it. But you're never going to absolve it completely. It's just not going to happen. The other day, well, it was more like, this was in February. But I was writing an album. I had to write the whole entire album in February. Actually, I gave myself that deadline because I'm super crazy. But I wanted to finish it by February, like a shorter month, right? And I don't know why I do that. But I got to I think it was like the last 2 songs, the last 3 songs, and I had a week left. And this one song, and I was kind of averaging like 1 to 2 days a track. And this one song, I literally wrote it 4 different times, because I would write it and I'd be like, man, this is garbage. I wrote it again. This is garbage. I wrote it again. This is garbage. And I finally, around the 4th time that I wrote it, I was like, okay, I'm liking this. I'm feeling this. And I think it was, and when I was actually writing those verses, it was like the beat came super quickly. The beat came within like 20 minutes. But when I was writing the verses and the hook was there, it was literally the 2 verses that were just killing me. I kind of knew what I wanted to say, but I didn't really. And I was just kind of trying to stab at it. I wasn't even taking my own advice at that point. But I think it was more of, I kind of knew what I wanted to do. I just didn't know how. And instead of sitting and thinking about that, I was just trying to do it. I was just trying to go at it. So I think if I would have just taken a step back and really given it like 20 minutes, 30 minutes of deep thought of, okay, this is what I want to say and this is how I want to say it, instead of just trying to go at it, I would have saved 4 days time, because it literally took me 4 days to write 2 verses that I was pleased with. And with the workflow that I have now, that is super disappointing just for me. There was a point in my life where I would take 4 days on 1 verse and I would feel fine with that. But with the way that I work now, that is, for me, it's like, okay, get your butt in check. That's a part of it as songwriters.
Absolutely. And we had talked a little bit about your workflow off the mic, and you're using Logic. What else do you utilize in your production technique? Obviously, you use some live instrumentation, guitar, horns. You're a classically trained musician. But what are your kind of go-tos, whether it's VSTs, software?
So for me, in my beats, I'm very live instrument oriented just because that's my background. That's where I come from. I'm not too synthy. I do use synths, but mainly you're going to hear pianos, guitars, electric, acoustic. You're going to hear trumpets. You're going to hear flutes. You're going to hear acoustic bass, electric bass, things of that nature that you find more in a live setting. Just because that's where I come from, organs. And when I use synths, they're more as a pad and maybe a lead. But go-tos, I literally use Serum in every single session. I'm either using it as my trap bass or I'm using it as an 808 because I think it's an amazing tool. I have a bunch of preset packs.
Yeah.
I have a bunch of preset packs with Serum. I literally use Serum with every session along with Expand. Expand 2, it has some kind of dinky sounds, but it has, a way where you can actually combine 4 sounds in one without having to have 4 different iterations of the track open. So that's something I think is really cool about that. You can manipulate the sounds very easily. So I use Expand, Serum all the time. I actually, believe it or not, I don't have the super fancy things. I don't have Omnisphere. I don't have Keyscape. I don't have Contact. I will be getting those things, but right now I am making music that's up to par with industry standard records without having to do those things. And I think one of the reasons that I'm able to be so successful without any of the high industry standard things is because I am a multi-instrumentalist. So a lot of my guitars that you hear, a lot of the pianos that you hear, a lot of the basses that you hear, especially the horns, they're all real, they're all live, and they're all tracked in my microphone that I'm speaking to you on right now. So my beats are super live based.
That's awesome, man. I love that you keep it simple. And I think, time and again on my show, we have talked with artists who they don't have massive setups. They haven't spent thousands, tens of thousands on software, on gear. They've gotten a few things that they've learned how to work with, or they've tested out 1 or 2 different things and just figured out what was best for them and how to keep their workflow simple and honestly just get to work, use that inspiration when it hits and get it all down there recorded fast. So I love it.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the things that I talk about in my books is that you need $1 million studio to make $1 million records. That is so untrue. And I think the best example of this is reggaeton music. Everybody knows like, dame más gasolina. I mean, that's super old school, right? But yeah. Daddy Yankee, like that's a household name now. They recorded that stuff in their mom's basements in Puerto Rico with crap equipment, right?
Right.
And reggaeton and Latin trap is worldwide and is dominating right now,
Yeah.
And that didn't come from $1 million studio. A lot of it, like Panda. Let's look at that, even more modern day. Panda, right? That beat was made by an internet producer. I believe he was 19 years old. He might have been 16 at the time he made it. I don't exactly remember, but he was a teenager, right? Not even 20 years old. He made it at home. And designer looked up. He's like, let me see on YouTube. He typed in designer type beat, found that beat, and that record blew up. And he was a kid living at home with his mom. You do not need, and a lot of the stuff that you hear on TV film is literally made by guys like me, guys who just come home from their day job, cook for their families, have a good time, then come in their studio and make some music, and they just know how to operate their gear. They don't have the all the high end stuff. They have some studio monitors, or they're mixing it on their speakers. They have an audio interface and a microphone, and they get it done. That's really all you need. $500 and you have the dopest studio you can ever have.
Absolutely. Just know how to operate your gear. That was just something I wanted to highlight right there. Underline, underscore, italics, all that bold. Just
learn your software.
Your gear. Yep. It's nice to have a lot of bells and whistles. I mean, it seems nice, right? It feels good. You can say you got this, you got that. But if you don't know how to use it, it is not going to matter at all. So I love that.
Definitely.
Thanks so much, Bruce, for being here on the show with me today. It's been awesome to just get to know you even more so now and understand the various levels that you are operating on, man.
Oh yeah, definitely, man. I appreciate it, Benjamin. It's definitely been it's been really fun just to talk about all these things with you, to give value to your listeners. And, these are the things that I really enjoy. These are the talks that I thoroughly enjoy having.
So you've said it a few times, but what can our listeners do to get kind of caught up with everything that you're doing? Where can we push them to?
Definitely. So where I'm most active with all my content that's music related, which is all my content, is Instagram at BruceBeats all day. You can follow me there. You can check out some of my material, and as well as my Facebook group. It's called BruceBeats Mastermind. You can actually just search that up and just click to join the group, or you can find me on my personal page and we can chat it up if you don't feel comfortable joining right off the bat. Bruce McKinnon Jr., McKinnon. These are the spots where I'm mainly active with my music. If you're an artist and you want to hear some of my stuff, some of my content, go to www.brucebeats.com. I have all my beats up on there that are for sale. I actually have some really cool beats with my partners, Legion Beats and Anno Domini Beats. They are Grammy-winning producers, and they've been generous enough to actually give me some of their material, put it on my beat store as well. And you could just purchase it right from there. I have 4 sample packs, over 600 sounds up on brucebeats.com. And if you're interested in any of my ebooks, I have 4 out: Music Money, Single a Day Cookbook, Beat a Day Cookbook, Mastering Your Music Podcast, a bunch of different things. You just DM me and I'll send those to you. Mixing secrets, mastering secrets. I mean, it's all there. We could just chat it up and have a good time.
Dope, man. All right. Hit him up, check him out. And thank you so much for listening. Peace.
Yes, sir. Peace.
Ooh. Okay, I had to look at my show notes right there because I just took so many notes when I was speaking with Bruce Beats that, quite frankly, my own mind is blown. I'm just all over the place thinking about all the value bombs that he dropped on us, right? So one of the things that I want to highlight today with Bruce Beats is that you have got to find your purpose. The way that he was speaking in the beginning of the interview about how his purpose is his family was truly heart-wrenching for me. And, I feel like there's a deeper story there, but what he shared with us really illustrated why he is so effective at what he does and why he has the strong momentum that he does. Is all about his family. Another thing that definitely stuck out for me is that you really want to make sure to take advantage of inspiration when it hits. How many times have you had an idea that you've come up with, whether it was musical or otherwise, and you forgot to write it down? You told yourself surely that you will remember. Maybe it's in lyrics or some kind of poetry, right? You're like, dude, these lines are so immaculate, so incredible. There's no way I'm going to forget it. Next day, boop, disappear from the head. He illustrated to us how important it is to make sure you take advantage of those creative inspirations and get them recorded down, whether it's just grabbing out a voice recorder and saying it or humming it if it's a melody, or whether it's getting into the studio and just jotting it down real quick with some keys because everyone else is asleep, bust out the trumpet in the morning. Hey, you've got the melody down. Don't worry. It'll be there. But the key is, whether you're falling asleep, whether you're in the shower, or whether you're walking down the hallway at work, capture what you have in your head. As I said in our interview, the graveyard is the richest place in the world. I'm not sure who said that saying, but go ahead and, Google that. You can find out for yourself. But this is something that stuck with me so much in the recent months. What it's all about is that you have so many ideas and you need to make sure you execute them. Do not let them go to the grave with you. Let them bless this earth. All right. 3 calls to actions before we hit the road. First off, I would once again like to invite you to our Facebook group. You can easily find it over at FERMImusic.com/Facebook. It is the support group for beat makers, music producers, and composers. A hub of creativity, collaboration, and promotion for your music. Connect and unite. Let's support each other, y'all. Also, it would really help us out if you subscribe to the show on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you listen to this podcast. If you have a moment, also drop us a 5-star review. It would mean so much. With that being said, once again, I want to extend my special offer to you. It's over at fermimusic.com/onefunnel. And that is my offer that I want to extend to you is a special discounted deal on the One Funnel Away Challenge. I'm going to go ahead and give you a rebate and help you out. You know, no more to be said. Go to the website, go to the webpage and check it. But I'll tell you, the One Funnel Away Challenge blew my mind. And it's through that network and other similar groups with marketers that I was actually introduced to BruceBeats through a mutual friend. All right. With that being said, I hope that y'all enjoyed this episode. I hope that it's brought you a lot of value, and I will see you next time. Peace.